Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up? Welcome to the Impact Podcast Show. This is part of our Financial Fridays, where we talk about business on Fridays. Every first Friday of every month, it's gonna be our Financial Friday, where we talk business, right? And so that's what we're doing. I am one of your hosts, Coach A, and to my right, which is this way, the
Melissa.
fabulous. That's right, the fabulous Melissa. We're gonna have to get you a name to go with Melissa because
I told you
Melissa just
financial
plain
chef. I mean, I cook.
the financial chef. That's right, she's the financial chef. So she's gonna be
Thank you for
cooking up
having me.
some financial plans, some financial stuff today. How you doing though? How you
Me?
doing today? Yeah, you.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's been a very, very eventful week, and I'm super grateful to have some time to just wind down a little bit. Definitely. How about you? How you doing today?
Good, good.
Yeah.
Still no baby.
No, babe. That's right. Any moment, any moment. This is the month.
Yes,
This is
this
the
is the
month.
month. Any
Oh
moment.
boy.
We're definitely prepared, but we're waiting
Good. Good. Good.
patiently for sure. Every time I get a phone call, I wonder if this is that call, if this is that message. Every time I hear it.
Anxiety, right?
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
god.
So
Wow.
on the show today, we're gonna be our. This is part of our. Like I said, this is our Financial Fridays. The first month of every. I mean, the first Friday of every month, we're gonna talk business. So me personally, I've been a tax accountant for the past 18 years. Business taxes, personal taxes, payroll. I help people start businesses, LLCs, whatever it is you need. Tax strategists to help you save on taxes, converting LLCs to S corps, all those things. I've been doing that for the past 18 years or so. That's my background, and so just felt like and we was talking about this, like a lot of the things that we do or we know, we just kind of sweep it under the table and just talk about a bunch of other stuff.
Hmm.
Just talk about a
So
bunch of other
true.
stuff. And
So true.
so I figured we should dedicate at least one day out the month where we talk about our professions and what we're doing,
That's a great
right?
idea, Coach. Great idea. For real.
So tell the people what you do, chef, financial
Financial,
chef.
financial chef. Yeah. So, I mean, if you don't already know, my background is culinary. So I went to school for culinary arts. I absolutely love cooking with a passion. Like it's just something that I'm gonna be doing just forever, really, until my time comes. But needless to say, I also do financial services. So what's entailed with that is I help people identify or learn how their money works. Just identifying their areas of improvement is what I like to say. And I do something that's called like the financial cancer test. Forgive this. I forgive this term if it offends anybody. It's not at all to offend anybody, but I think that it's super important to understand how your finances work, the areas of improvement, where you can get better at, and also apply it and then teach somebody else that or share with somebody else. Right? It's about reciprocating and expanding and growing wealth. Right? I think
Absolutely,
that's important.
absolutely. So we got to shout out to Brandon. That's one of my brothers. Family Talk is every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Me and
Okay.
four other guys, we're on there, and we just, no matter what the subject is, we getting it in. Brandon just released a song. Him and I forget his name, Tony Ultra,
Nice.
and Big B. The name of that song is called Slide. I wish I had the link. I will put it
Track,
on
right?
here. It's dope. I listen, and I'm a music critic. I'm a music critic, and so I listen to it. It's the only problem that I do have. I'm gonna tell B right now, because I know he listening. The only problem that I do have is the number of bars. That's all we get. We get one from Tony, run from B, and then the song over with. I'm like, really? You just gonna like that's like giving somebody a plate, a big old plate, and then you put just some little food on there, and then you take two bites
That
and it's
tastes
gone.
amazing, right? That tastes
Yes,
amazing.
exactly. I'm like, what's up, man? Can we get some more bars? You know,
That's cool, Brandon. That's really cool.
it is for
Sharing
sure.
that talent. That's what it's about.
It
Listen, we
is
gotta share our talent. We're given talent for a reason.
for a
Can't,
reason.
can't
For
sweep
a
that under the
reason.
rug. So
It's
good
funny you
stuff.
say that because I don't. I know you remember that scripture of the talents in the Bible.
Ooh,
Yes, the talents. The guy gave three. You know, it was a guy that was
two,
going out
five,
of
and
town,
10.
and he gave one each person according to their ability
Right,
talents, right?
right.
And they were supposed to make do something with their talent, and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't. And so, well, the one guy didn't, the other two guys did, and that's in that whole story about that is definitely important.
Yep, for
It's
sure, for sure.
definitely important because even the scripture teaches that, you have to make do with whatever it is that you have and
Right.
planning. So that's part of this episode today, our Friday, our financial Friday, which is again just reminding people it's going to be the first Friday of every month. We're going to have financial Fridays where we talk about business and answer
Right.
any questions you may have for sure. But and
Absolutely.
also later on today, we got a friend of mine named Michael Newsom. He's going to help us with, talking about some investments and stuff like that. But some of the things we're going to cover, right, is like the four pillars of financial health. Everybody need to understand if they're healthy or not. And that's what we're going to cover. And the four pillars of financial health is number one is income, right, or income protection. Then number two is debt management, right?
Right.
And so then we got number three is emergency funds or what we call savings. That's important. And then of course investments. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go to this intro. As soon as the intro is over with, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk to Melissa, our financial chef, and she's gonna break us down on some of this, income and income protection, which is
Yes.
important. So we'll be
Yes.
right back at you right after the break. Again, stay tuned right here. Yes, sir. We got to get the audience involved.
What's up, Jody?
Yes, sir. Shout out to my brother Jody.
You're so funny.
Never let me on the show. All right. So listen, I'm gonna send Jody a link because we definitely got to
Absolutely.
get my brother. I always want my brother on, for
Absolutely.
sure.
That's cool.
Even if nothing else, he just makes me laugh.
Right. I read his comment in his voice. I don't know if you do that, but I do that.
So, but anyhow,
Ooh, excuse
getting
me.
into financial health, right?
Yes.
So, part of a pillar, one of the pillars, if you think of something that's really holding the structure up, right? We got four pillars to hold the structure up, and one of them is income, right? Income is like the fuel to everything. If you don't have that no income
Right.
coming in, you're not gonna be able to do anything else. You ain't gonna be able to save. You ain't gonna be able to invest. You ain't gonna be able to, pay off your debts or anything. So
Right.
one of the most important portions or the fuel portion of that, this whole structure is income and making sure you are optimizing your ability and your chances to earn income. I think
Right.
it's important. Like a lot of people just kind of settle with whatever it is they're doing, but I think it's important to realize that there's potential in each and every one of us to where the earnings is limitless.
Right.
Be it working the job or the perfect place, the perfect career that you want, or owning your own business. It's all within each and every one of us. But a lot of times from fear and, and just other reasons, we kind of get deterred from that.
Yeah.
So Melissa, talk to us a little bit about income. We know it's important, but what about protecting it?
Right, right. So before anything, and I keep looking back because I have my notes on my screen, but I really want to go into mindset. I think mindset is
Mm,
so important when you talk about anything. I mean, for people, perception is their reality. And so right now, I mean, I'm not talking to you about no product. I'm not going to talk to you about just something else to buy. No, I'm not going to go into that because I think throughout the years that I've been working with people and then even applying it to my own life, in our home, you know, one of the main things that I've noticed is that people don't want to hear about another product that came out. They don't want to hear about the next new thing that just came out that you need to buy or that you need to get at. And I think it's very distracting. In a humble opinion, I think it's distraction. I think what we need is a plan. I think what we need to do is learn the information and then see how it applies to us and then apply it and get that plan going. So what I'm going to really be speaking about is having a plan that works for you. Personally,
yes.
what works for me is not going to work for you, and that's absolutely okay. The other thing is addressing your mindset as it relates to money. I mean, I think a lot of us, probably grew up with the idea, with the most common thing, money doesn't grow on, and you can put it in the
Trees.
comments if you
I
want,
know the answer. I
right?
know the answer.
Yeah, so it's something that I heard growing up, but we got to be so mindful of how these different sayings and these words with money involved can really form our mindset, our conscious, So we're gonna address that, and one of the things is financial illiteracy. Like a lot of people don't have an understanding of how money works. And if they did, then we wouldn't be in such the high amount of debt that we are now. Next thing is, being taught, and a lot of what we know is what we've been told. Not many of us have taken the step to learn it on our own, to apply it. I speak from experience. I mean, the stuff that I learned about money was in my adult years. Had I learned the things that I know now about money and how to steward my money properly and finances and build my financial house, which we're going to go into a little bit more, I think life would have been a little bit different. But it's still good, but I think it would have been a lot more different. So we're going to address, like you said, Adrian, the foundation of your finances, and it's income. You need some kind of income, or have something coming in. I don't know how you get your money,
Get
but
off
you
the
need some
couch.
money. Right, get off of the right. Adrian's gonna be popping in with those comments, but but my reason for saying this is you need income, right? On top of that income, you need something to protect that income. Income protection is also known as life insurance. I know life insurance has a negative stigma and some people
Yeah.
don't really care for it. A lot of people feel like they don't even need it. Listen, if you feel like you don't need it, okay. I mean, I would at least hope that after this, you would start to think about, okay, do I really need it? And if I don't need it, okay, but how's my family going to be, or the people who are depending on me going to be if something would have happened to me? And I think one of the main things that I put in perspective is, if something would have happened to me today, am I leaving my husband? Am I leaving my family with a financial burden? And I think that at the end of the day, that's what we need to ask ourselves, so that now we can take like a different approach to it. So, again, the question is, what were you taught about money? That's the question. And I mean, you can answer, you can engage. I encourage whoever's watching to engage here. Like, listen, I learned, okay, now with money and how we spend, I mean, live beneath your means, right? Or live within your means. Like, I've heard all these different things. Okay, put your money in the bank, open up a savings account, open up a checkings
Hmm.
account. I've heard all these things. And so later on in my life is when I started learning about how to make money work for me. Like how money works, but how to make that money work for me. And so again, we talked about income, right? And having income protection in the form of life insurance. That's what that is, right? So when you think about life insurance, you're thinking about a risk being assumed or a risk being taken by a company to insure the person who has it, right? So the
Hmm.
person who's being insured is the insured or the insured, and then you have the insurer, which is the company or the life insurance company. And there are different protocols that need to be followed so that a person is insured properly. One of the things that you look at with income protection is you look at your health, and then you look at the age of the person. That's how life insurance is pretty much determined.
Term.
So at like the older that you are, the more expensive insurance will be, because it's assumed, one, the life expectancy of that person might not be too long, right? Considering the life expectancies, I'm not going to go into details, but it's different for everybody.
So
Um,
real
yes,
quick, let me interject with a couple things.
sure,
Um, this the whole income protection. Why is it important? Obviously, people look at income protection from different lenses. You know
right,
what I'm saying? Some people might feel it's important, some people don't. I feel like personally it's important because just knowing what we've been through just now, just in the past year, and things can happen.
right,
Things can happen, and so if something happened, you want to be prepared. It's always good to be prepared
right,
for any type of event. A lot of people view it as just dying, but it doesn't have to just be death. It can be the fact that you can't go to work because your job is
right,
shut down,
right,
right? And of course, that's going to determine what type of protection you have.
right,
You have to make sure that whatever protection you have is that's covered in it. So, but those
yes,
are some of the things that we have to look at. Also, people don't realize this, but we're all working towards not working. We're all
right.
working
Oh,
towards
that's
retirement,
huge. That is
right? And
huge.
so if you're
Yes,
working towards retirement, you don't want that to be interrupted.
right.
A tragedy or an incident within the life can instantly change that, and you not realize that, and that'll put you further back from your retirement.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so I feel like some of those things is definitely important, and just people they need to understand that for sure.
Thank you. No, thank you for mentioning that, because, things like unexpected illness, unexpected death. I mean, listen, we don't know when we're going to die. If we knew, I think everybody would get life insurance, because if it meant that their family was going to be able to continue the quality of life that they were living when that person was here,
Hmm.
then everybody will go and get that. And I think it's key. It's preparing, right? Because eventually you don't want to work all of your life, and that's where
Right,
investing comes in, and that's the whole other topic today really is. We have to look at bridging that gap of the amount of people that don't have income protection, because there's so many different things. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I thought, for one, I thought it wasn't important, right? Or I didn't even think of it. It was something that I heard of, but I didn't understand how it worked. So that was my reason for not having life insurance. The other thing was thinking that it might be too expensive. I thought that maybe I would be paying too much money, and again, with coupled with that lack of understanding, I delayed a lot of years in my life without being properly protected. And I'm so grateful for my husband for mentioning it one year or several years ago. He was like, "I'm thinking about getting life insurance," and I was like, "Oh, okay, great." And then fast forward a few months later, we had a friend who introduced us to it. And so, listen, everything works at the right time, but I think this is so crucial to have this information. And the other thing is, I'm sorry, were you saying something?
no, 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 go
Okay,
ahead.
cool. Sorry. It was part of the feedback. So the other thing is with building a financial house. So today I'm going to be talking about how to build your financial house. And maybe a lot of people don't know what that looks like for them, but I mean, if you guys can draw or just imagine, when you build a house, what do you begin with? Do you begin with the foundation, or do you begin with the roof?
Mhm.
I'm asking. What do you begin with when you're building?
You
You
have to
have a
start off with the
perspective.
foundation.
Right. And so we already discussed what the foundation is your income. And then you need to protect that income to make sure that the rest of that house can be funded if something should happen to you unexpectedly. So the next step that we're going to talk about is budgeting, right? So I'm just giving you the different layers of the financial house. So you have income
Absolutely.
protection as a foundation. The next level is we're going to look at what your budget and your emergency fund, and if you have a will in place. So many
Mhm.
people don't have wills in place that can alleviate so many issues, so many familial issues. If something should happen to you, like all these legal disputes and what we're going to do with assets and everything like that, that's what you have a will for. The next thing is we're going to discuss is debt elimination. So it's eliminating the debt, right? So that you're able to open up more funds or more monies in your income to allocate to other areas. If you have a ton of debt, it's going to be almost impossible to invest for your retirement, to put into a
Absolutely.
long term investment vehicle. And then after that, with parents and everything, and even just like just adults who want to go to school and college, there's school programs, there's educational, programs that you have, college funds and things of that nature. And then the roof of that would be everything like your goals, your dreams, your vacations. And what I've seen a lot is that that house is upside down. Like people are buying the cars, people are going on vacations, people are planning all these events, these life
Going into
events,
debt.
going into debt. And listen, all these things, I'm all for enjoyment. I'm all for having a good time, vacation, all these things. But we got to realize, like, if you don't have your house in order, your finances in order, you're going to always be in this rut. And we're going to perpetuate poverty. Like, I think it's time, in a sense, like, mindset, like I was talking about before, is having
Absolutely.
a different mindset toward money. Like, do you feel like you're always in lack? Do you think that, oh my gosh, money is so hard to come by? Let me just tell you and break that limiting belief right now. Money is not hard to come by. In the country that we live in today, with practically a free business enterprise system, we're able to do so many different things to generate many different streams of income. And
Right.
so we have to come into this thinking, okay, I have this talent. We were talking about talents before. I have this talent. How can I apply this talent so that it can generate me some income? That's how I think about it. Like I think about, okay, I know how to do this and I'm going to apply it. If I know how to give it up to Brandon, I mean, he likes music, he's lyrical. So what is he
Yep.
doing? He's investing in that. And all the best to him. So I think that's the mindset that we should have. So as I said, when we look at this financial house, we have the first one is your income protection. You're going to go into your emergency fund, your will, make sure you have a will in place to protect all of that you're working on. You don't want all that work to go to waste for nothing. Having a budget plan in place, having
Hmm.
your debt elimination plan, working on your retirement, your college savings, we got to include everything. And then your roof is your vacation.
And you know what I noticed?
Yes.
You know what I noticed? All that stuff that you mentioned is intentional. All this stuff
Right.
has to be done intentional.
Right.
And I tell people, all the time is that the thing that you focus on is what's going to grow. And
Right.
so you have to be intentional when it comes to structuring that, what you just mentioned. Before I let
Yes.
you continue, let me bring the smoothest guy on
Yes.
in. I asked him the last time. I told him the next time you come on the podcast, you got to get the sax off the thing, and you got to play it. But I can see he don't have it. But I ain't gonna, what I'm saying. I ain't gonna get upset about it. Mike, Mike, what's
How you
up?
Up
doing, Mike? What's up?
another day, another 35 cents. How's it
Yes,
going?
sir. Doing
Good.
good. Doing
Good.
good. So we was just going over some of the pillars of financial health, and the fabulous Miss Melissa was showing our structure, comparing this financial health to that of a house structure, and she was helping us build it together. And so part of that, she did mention investments, which I know you know much about, but debt management and and she was talking about income protection and things of that nature. And then of course, we all working towards retirement, so it's important that we put these things together. But she was just going, the first thing was about income. We know that that's the driving force of everything is income, and making sure that to some extent that income is protected, because you never know, we could get hurt, or we can lose our jobs, or we can get fired, which is the same as losing your job, or whatever the situation is. You never know what can go. COVID, right?
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
a whole other. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Exactly. And so I just feel like we need to learn these things, but it starts with being intentional. Even and I know both of you can appreciate this, even the Bible teaches us that if a man's going to build something, he should take in consideration the cost, right? That means he has to do some thinking about his plan, about what he wanted to accomplish. And
Right,
so I feel like a lot of times we as people, we don't do that. We don't plan to retire, or plan to be successful at this point. And that's where a lot of us go wrong. The average person does not plan. And so guess what? We get exactly what we plan for.
Nothing.
right.
Nothing.
right?
Nothing.
It's like that saying, right? You fail to plan, you plan to fail. So
Exactly.
yeah,
And so that's why I feel like it's important that we talk about it. But we know when it comes to finance and money, it could be a boring topic for some people. So it's only once a month. Not for us. Not for
oh,
us. I
it's
like
not
to see
boring.
the green
Every
stacking.
single day, I'm like,
But you know what? If you make just a little bit more today than you did yesterday, you're going in the right direction. But
Yeah.
you know, I was listening while I was in the background. Excuse me, what's your name, Melissa?
yes,
Yes. To what you're saying, and everything she said is right on point. I had my license in insurance also, so I understand the value and the importance of up that for in case you don't live a long life, get that
right,
insurance and do your investments in case you live a long life. You know,
right,
so but what I found out from talking to people, the biggest thing is that people know investing, getting insurance is the right thing to do, but because they don't know everything about it, they don't do anything. So what I try to do is break down. You can go into all the most in-depth reasoning why a person should invest, and it all makes sense when they hear it. But if you don't find out where they're at, because that's the hardest thing. How do you get this person that's 35 to 55 years old to start? Well, it's too late. I haven't. No, I started late in the game myself. So, you may start with small mini goals. And when the person starts hitting those mini goals, like $5 a day, that's $35 a week. The compound interest, rule of 72, that take effect. And then when they see that money grow by itself, it motivates them to want to do it more. And then you don't have to have all the answers. You just instinctively, well, let me go ahead and put instead of $5, let me put $7. And then that thing start growing, and then it'll make you put more to it.
awesome.
Yeah. So, Melissa, you did mention something about debt, right? About eliminating debt or debt management. So,
Yes,
can you elaborate a little bit on that? Obviously, it's important because according to what you mentioned, that the more debt you eliminate, the more income, the more money you have in pocket.
right.
It's like a raise.
It's like a
Right.
raise.
It is like a
Yeah.
raise. I agree. Because I think one of the biggest things that I've also seen is that if you have a certain amount of debt, I mean, it could be credit cards, it could be loans, or anything that you're actively paying those things off. When an account gets wiped off, it's like, oh, I have this surplus of money for spending on not like unnecessary thing, right? And I think again, back to changing the paradigm is, a lot of people when they get their paycheck or they get some kind of income, they're like, oh, I got to pay my bills, I got to do this, I got to do that. But how about paying yourself first, right? And I know Michael can elaborate a little bit more on it, but paying yourself first, okay, am I putting the money? Like, I'm going to make sure I'm taking care of my income protection is taken care of. I'm making sure that I have some kind of long term investment account working for me because the older we get, we're not going to have that same energy to be working the amount of hours that a lot of people are working. A lot of people have
Say
one,
that.
two, three jobs now.
Say
You're
that.
not going to have that same energy later on when you're older. And so I think it's important to work simultaneously with having your protection, but working on something that will be available to you later on because the reality is you want access to cash later, right? And then to debt, you got to think about debt, right? We're being pulled in so many different directions. A lot of us have mortgages, we have rent, we have credit cards, we have just bills, and they're just like kind of pulling at us. None of these companies are going to call you and be like, hey, I know you have a bad month. Don't worry about paying your cable bill. Don't worry about paying your mortgage. You're good. Use that money and pay for something else. No, that's not going to happen. So having a plan to eliminate your debt and understanding how much how much debt is okay while you work some other things out, right? So
Mhm.
we have a method that's called like it's a debt stacking, or Dave Ramsey who calls it like a snowball thing, right?
Yeah, that's
So
in
I hope I'm not wrong with it, but I've heard it, so that's why I'm mentioning it. Uh,
snowballing is to eliminate debt.
Correct.
Yeah.
So having that method, it's something that can be applied to any situation. Really, if you have the income, then you can apply it to eliminating your debt. So the idea is you have three types of debt. Just giving an example, right? So you have a small, a medium, a high amount of debt. you're going to knock out the smallest debt first,
Mhm.
and then whatever you're paying toward that smaller debt, it's not money that you have freed up. It's money that now you're going to add to that second payment for that other debt that you were paying. So now that first payment is going to be applied to the second debt. And then
Yeah.
when you finish paying that second debt, you're going to take the monies that you were paying toward that second debt and you're going to apply it to the bigger and third debt so that you can now pay a higher amount and then wipe it out quicker. Because the thing is, the longer you have debt with these crediting companies or creditors, they make money off of the period of time that you have that credit
Mhm.
open, right? And so sometimes when we look at like our credit cards, we'd be like, okay, I have this is my balance. Oh, but my payment is really low. So you're paying like $25 and your limit, like your balance is like $6,000 or $7,000, just for example. You're like, oh, but it's a low payment. Okay, but you're being charged interest throughout the entire like duration of the time that you have that open. So you end up paying a lot more money in interest than just paying it like in larger sums if you can, and periodically, if that makes sense.
And that is the snowball that the snow I forget what it's called, the snowball
I call it debt
effect.
They,
stacking.
they have a lot of terms for
Yeah.
it, rapid payment
Yeah.
plan, all kind of
Right.
stuff. In a nutshell, like you're saying, pay the lowest one off, and then the amount that you was paying on that one, you still pay the minimum. But the key is while you're paying one off, you pay the minimum on the rest of your credit
Thank you
cards,
for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
and then
Don't
once you get this one
don't
off,
forget that. Don't forget that.
because what people will try to do is pay extra, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
your interest at 23% to 28% is eating up. So you might as well just, while you're waiting to pay that one off, you knock this one off with one payment, and now you have like you're saying, your payment that you were paying here
The big,
plus the next
big
one.
stuff.
But the thing is, when it comes to credit, like you have good credit and bad credit, and knowing a lot of people don't know how to use credit or the value. And like when you have a credit card, once you get to 30%, is considered maxed out. So
Mhm.
when you have a credit card, you want to take your credit limit and go 30% of that, and that's really your max. If you stay within that, then you'll always stay in good standing with your utilization. But
Right.
but life happens, and a lot of times you will max out a card easy. So
Mhm.
what happens when you max your card out, it's like reducing your income because you have to pay that payment every month.
Yeah.
So when you start wiping off credit cards, that is actually a raise. So because people were trying to figure out, how do I make more money? If you ain't got no money, you can't. You paying your credit off is the last thing. That's why you're in that problem, because you
Right.
don't have enough money. So trying to get people to uh, generate more revenue, even at the job where they're at, multiple streams of income. I like to talk to people and explain to them, when you're working for a company, that's your time to set up your own business while you have money coming in, set up multiple streams of income, set up passive income. And after a while, it just takes moves on its own. So everything the young lady is saying is right on point, and I concur.
I saw Shakina's comment. She
Oh
said,
my
"Buying
gosh.
Christmas
Tell me
gifts
about
going
it.
broke." Oh
Yeah.
man,
but
that's
but you know what? One thing I think people are looking for are answers, because
yeah,
when we talk to people, we know. Well, I'm not saying. I think us three, we have a better understanding of
Yeah.
the
That's
value
all it
of,
is.
yes, than a lot of people. And the people that may tune into here, they're going to be looking for answers. That sounds good, but how do I get the money to pay it off? She gave one technique, and another one is becoming independent. So what I do, so a little background, I've been doing roofing over 35 years,
He's the
and
James Harden of roofing.
don't
nice.
mess with it. Don't mess with
That's what I do.
it. No, I
Yeah.
digress. So what I've been doing is, because I have extensive knowledge in roofing, I leverage my knowledge now. So now I don't get paid for my back and up on a roof. I get paid for my knowledge. So I talk to small companies, like people that want to start companies. I help consult with them, and I make a fee. I am operations manager at one company, but I also talk to other companies, and I set this up. It's not like I'm have a conflict of interest, because that's always something you have to consider
Right.
when you're dealing with other companies in the same field, is a conflict of interest. So I'm straight up, I'm transparent. I let them know this is what I do. This is if you have a problem with that, let me know, and you know how to go. But getting so you could be a fry cook at McDonald's, and if you do it long enough, over 10 years, you become a professional at it. Now, if you learn how to take this skill and not just have it for one McDonald's, but say you could do it for four. Now you're one person, you can only work so many hours in a day. But so say you start training people to duplicate what you're doing. So it could be anything. And I tell people that have long service, I say you have a job. You think you created, your own business. No, you just created another job. So now unless you have somebody to replace you, if you don't work it, you ain't making money.
Right.
So duplication of a system is key. And then using getting paid for this is when you get to another level instead of your back, because most people are making money from their hands. The
Right.
skill and the knowledge is great, but now you have to figure out how to leverage that and get paid independently to multiple companies
Right.
is
It's like
one
working
thing.
100 hours, but every 100 people are working an hour. You know.
Yes.
And how to franchise. It's good.
Yeah, you use that leverage compound interest on people.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people scared to take that chance, man. They just stick with what's comfortable.
Right.
I
Well,
know this.
we've
I
been
signed.
trained.
I
We've
signed
been
off on this thing, and you're gonna pay me 15 or whatever, $20
we've
an
we've
hour.
been lied to. We've been lied to and conditioned to get a job.
Right.
And it's not our parents' fault, because that's what they was taught, that's what they knew.
Yeah.
So you can't use, after you get a certain point, you can't use that as an excuse not to succeed. You get
Right.
into a comfort and you get comfortable. That's like the worst thing to happen. When you get comfortable, you make just enough money, then, or like say you get assistance, food stamps, that's like a trap, because you're afraid to give up that benefit for the and the only way you would give it up if you make more money. So you don't want to make more money for fear of losing this
Losing it.
benefit that has you at poverty.
Hmm.
So the biggest thing is cracking the code, deprogram people
Right.
of getting away from that old thinking.
Deprogram. That's so
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
good.
that's
Old
what
thinking.
that's
We,
what
we
you
gotta start
mentioned.
vocabulary for this podcast. We want deprogram.
Oh yeah, you
Program.
start there. You can't get nowhere. You can't
Right.
talk to them about insurance. You can't talk to them about investing if they're stuck on the old way of I got to go to school to get a degree, 50,000, $100,000 in debt to get this job that pays 30,000. If I
Exactly.
work in my
Right.
own career,
Right. Right.
I like, would you go to a car lot and purchase a car for like 60, $70,000 that you don't like, and then you will leave and paying. Here you got this car that you don't like, but you paying 50 and $60,000 for it every month. Like, would you do that? They were like, no, I wouldn't do that. Well, that's the same thing with your education. Use it to your advantage. Make sure that you're going to benefit from it. Don't just go to school just to go to school, and now you didn't graduate, you didn't went to college, you just graduated with anything, and you're forced to get a different job because you don't even like
well,
the
you,
diploma
you
you
know,
got.
it's funny because each one of these, I didn't mean to cut you off, but each one
No,
of
it's
these
fine.
topics, even with the school, people don't know what to get into. Okay, so you say, I want to be a doctor. Why you want to be? Because they make money. It comes down to making money. Whatever profession, if you now unless you want to be a missionary or whatever, you're working. I work for money, and I tell them this is why I'm working. I'm not working for a title. You can call me what you want. I'm working for a certain pay, exchanging my time for revenue. But like kids, because they're young, 18, 19 years old, going to college, they don't know the profession. They have a picture, a movie in their head of what it's really like. So I want to be an
Yeah.
accountant. Okay, you want to be a CPA. Are you prepared to sit at a desk for 8 hours, 12 hours, looking at a screen, just crunching numbers all day long?
All day.
I couldn't do it. I wouldn't care how much they paid.
It's
I'm on the
tough.
road. See, my
I
job, I'm
love
on
it.
the road 90% of the time. I dig that. I like, some people like structure. Like people that work at maybe Walgreens and they do the same thing repetitive
No,
every
that would
day,
make
every
me
week, right?
miserable.
Some
Everybody needs to
people,
each their own though. Some people,
yeah,
yeah.
some people, that's what they need. You have to figure out the person. Some people need that structure, and and if you change it, it will freak them out.
Yeah.
Then you have that group like us that are more. Most entrepreneurs are independent thinkers. They don't like restraints. They don't like a ceiling on how much you can make. And if you put one on, they're gonna scratch and get out of there. So
Scratch.
you put a ceiling
Yeah.
on me. I don't care how much you offer me. I'm like, look, if I help your company be profitable, I want to, benefit from that
Right.
because I'm going to show you how to make 30% increase, and I'm supposed to stay the same. No.
Right.
So at a certain point, you lose that fear of when you get a certain amount of knowledge, you lose that fear of, well, you're going to be fired. Okay, I will make it over here, because you have faith in your knowledge and your skill set and what you're doing in your system. So the lack of fear, leverage your knowledge, repeat yourself,
Yep.
and then break those old barriers down of going to high school, go to college, get a
And get a
degree.
job.
Yeah, no, you can
Get
do
a
that
good
because
job.
most of it are stuck in it, but
Right.
you can't use it as an excuse not to change.
Some people
Right.
need to be
Right.
fired. Some people need to be fired. That's how they get
In order to break
rejected and
out.
Until,
thrusted
yeah,
Right.
I
into
about to
Right.
say,
their
yeah, that's how
destiny.
you.
Yeah.
That's right. Don't be afraid of it, but
And a
it's
job
that
is not
fear.
a bad thing. You can use it right as a stepping stone, like to get to
Mhm.
the next thing. It like again, it's not bad to have it. It's just knowing, okay, understanding that it's a season, right?
Yeah.
Understanding
Mhm.
what to do in each season, what to sow in each season. And it's like where it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, right? So
Yeah.
is he. So it's so powerful, like what your mind can
Well, you
take
know
you
what?
to.
That sounds beautiful, and that is the truth. But when you're going through it and you got that mortgage payment, you got that car
Yeah.
payment, and you're a month behind, they come and knocking at your door.
Right.
It takes one to faith because you may not recognize the season. You may say this is a season of destruction. I, what have I done wrong?
Right.
I need to change something in my life. But
Right.
what I realize
We know what was done wrong. The management.
yeah, well, yeah, it could be a lot of stuff, but most of it comes back to you start looking in the
Yeah.
mirror and you
Yeah.
find
Oh,
out,
100%.
what you did wrong. But hey, yeah, that season, if you recognize it and you know it, that's one thing. If you don't know what it is and you was going
Absolutely.
through heck,
Right.
So look, so listen, we
For real.
covered so far some of the we talked about the structure, the four pillars for financial health. We talked about the income protection. We just went into like the debt management. So what about emergency funds and savings? How important is that?
Oh,
okay. Well,
go
you
ahead.
want to you
No,
want to
please
be
go. Go
okay.
right
Well,
ahead. Go right ahead. I'll chime
okay.
in after.
So when you set up, because I work with you, right? So you have a little bit more insight of how I think. I believe in buckets of money allocated for different purposes. So before you invest, you set up your emergency fund.
Hmm.
Now you have to determine, people
Important.
have set amounts of what they think is the right amount, but you're going to have to set that amount up. But if you have at least most people don't have $1,000, right? So I start with many goals. I told my son, look, you got to be able at any given time, you need to be able to put your hands on $1,000. If your car goes down, whatever, start there. It may be a credit card. Okay, you may have to max that bad boy out, but you need your car. But if you have the cash and you save for it, have an emergency fund.
Yep.
So what I do is I have my business account, I have my personal, I have my account for taxes, I have my account for real estate, and then out of my different accounts, like my traditional that is pre-tax money. I pay the business. My Roth I pay for my personal because that's after tax. And then I have some other investments, but I'm putting cash because I can take advantage of when the market dips. I can have cash to reinvest, but I also have an emergency fund that I put in there every week and I don't touch it. So is you just allocate your pay that you get, even if it's $5.
You got a bucket for taxes?
You know I do.
You got listen. I think one of the main things that I learned actually in the beginning is having that, like, after the first day I was like, oh no, like, because it can just go over, right? Like,
Wait a minute, I missed the first part. Say that again now.
I said, like, one of the main things that I learned was after, like, life insurance was the tax thing, because being, like, on this road of entrepreneurship, which is fairly new to me, or having like 1099 or whatever,
Ain't no joke.
It's no joke. So after I was like, oh, I learned the hard way. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, well, you know what it is. When we work with somebody, we have it automatically come out, so
Right.
and then you just get this overage at the end. But no, it's all on you.
Yes.
So
it's a whole other level of responsibility. But it's good. Like, I'm not saying this to scare anybody or whoever's watching it. I think, man, I welcome it. Like, I want the challenge of understanding the ins and outs of money. Like, I want to know, okay, this is how many I have allocated for taxes, like you were saying, Michael. How much do I need for my emergency? I mean, if we know experts, right? When you look anywhere, they recommend 3 to 6 months of funds for your emergency account.
Yeah,
only,
it's funny you said that, because I was just thinking that because Mike, you mentioned $1,000, but like the national average or whatever they say is like 3 to 6 months of all your expenses paid.
But like, what's the average person have? The average person has maybe $300, if that.
If that. You're right.
So when you're talking to a person that all they have is $300, not even $100, $50, and because most people that borrow money every month, they don't have a lot of money coming in. So some of the stuff that we could say to them is like, look, I'm not even there yet. So they shut down. So you have to show a person where they're at, and just a little. Now with the investments, fractional shares, you can own a part of Tesla for $1. So all those reasons of why they haven't started, get them started with. Showing them how it don't matter where you're at. I can take you wherever you're at. You put $1 up today.
Just to clarify that the 3 months is the goal. Just to clarify to
well,
everybody.
it depends. Some people say, 6 months is a goal. I've heard different times. I've had 6 months, but if a person doesn't even have $100, I'm saying get to 2 weeks.
Yeah, but
then once you get there, well, the ultimate goal may be a year, maybe 3 years. They have a thing called FIRE, right? Where you take your age and how much your debt is, like for early retirement. But if you're talking to somebody, it's a different conversation for people at different levels. Now, the ultimate goal is to have 6 months.
Well, it's not. I don't think you understand what we're saying. When you when you have an emergency fund, they said, right, you want to build. You mentioned this. You want to build your emergency fund or your savings up before you start doing these extra stuff.
Yes.
Right? And so what they're saying is that your emergency fund should get to at least 3 to 6 months of your expenses, meaning the money you have in your emergency fund, you can take care of your monthly expenses for 3 months without working.
No, I hear, and I'm agree.
You can expand, and it might be $5 a week or $10 a week or whatever. We don't know what your starting savings will start, what that look like, but we don't want you to make a special move on this other stuff until
you're right. But the part I was bringing up is that even with that conversation, talking to somebody that's living week to week, paycheck to paycheck, most people, they get their paycheck on Friday, and a lot of them, by the time they get through the weekend, they got $50, $75 to get to the next pay period. So telling that person, I need you to put up so much money per week, they're looking at, man, I'm just trying to make it through the day. and they shut down. So that's, so each person is, you have to take a person where they're at, and you have to show them, you may have to show them how to do it. But the goal is, set up in the order of operations, the priorities, your emergency first. But if you're living, even like paying your bills, like bills don't never stop coming. But like she said, you got to figure out how to pay yourself first. even if it's a little bit. And when you're paying yourself, that may be your emergency fund, but you got to. I pay
Yes.
me first,
Right.
and then
Got
and
to.
then I see what bills I can pay.
Absolutely. And not only that, that's actually in my opinion, it's a right order of things
Right.
because now you know what living in your means or even under your means is. You know what I mean? Living under your means just means you might have a little bit more surplus, and
Yeah.
now it could be play around money if you decide to splurge and buy something to eat outside. And I'm just saying that as a splurge because I mean, some people it is a luxury, when they get to go out and eat and buy a meal outside and not cook at home.
Yeah.
But definitely finding a way to. It's so true. I know I've been there, so that's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. But
I think we've all been
definitely
there.
finding. Yeah, I agree. But definitely, like I said, it's having that plan. And to your point, Michael, like everything is personal, right? So it's a per case like
Yes.
scenario, and it's I like eventually it's helping that person get to a place where they feel like okay. I have a somewhat of a control of your money. I mean, because the things that we don't have in our control is our employer. We don't know when we're going to lose our job. We don't know, when we're going to get a pay cut, whatever the case may be, layoff. I mean, we saw it happen through COVID last year, and the millions and millions of people that lost their jobs unexpectedly. Some people of which they can't find jobs to this day because they had only one trade, because their
Right.
job is all they did. So ideally is what we can control is maximizing our income, learning, like I said, applying that talent. And back to Michael's point is having a plan in place, something that you can say, okay, sitting down, planning your finances, because a lot of people, like I said, they fail to plan, they plan to fail. So many people spend hours planning a vacation, a wedding, planning all these different extracurricular activities, but don't take the time to plan out their finances, which probably takes about 2 to 3 hours if you really sat and focused on it. So the first thing I would say is sitting down, talking if you have your spouse or your family, going over your expenses, writing them down on paper and saying, okay, this is what's going to here, this is what's going to there. And then something that I did that helped me was do a list of elimination. Things that I didn't need, subscriptions that I really wasn't that I was using, but I know that I could do without.
Or you
And
can
if the
write them
day
off.
and oh that's you know what?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So uh,
She hadn't been talking to me that
I,
long
I
yet.
I got into that
Man,
writing
She,
stuff off
she
because
ain't been talking to me that long.
okay, no, yeah, those subscriptions they may not be bad because you need expenses to write off for your business, but
listen,
that's a
and I
topic.
use them because they're mainly like my books and
Yeah,
stuff.
because if and all you have to show is that you use it for your business.
Okay, cool.
But one thing that you said, like, say a person is living from week to week, right? It does no good to talk about an emergency fund yet. First, you have to talk to them. How do you make more money?
Right.
That
Exactly.
may be. So I was in the Marines. So you have like if the person is bleeding, what do you do first? Do you and the heart's not beating,
Gotta stop the bleeding.
stop the bleeding because
Yep.
you can bleed out quicker than you can suffocate from no oxygen. So the heart may the lungs you may be unconscious or you're not breathing, and the person is bleeding out. What do you do first? Both of them is life threatening, but in certain cases you do the oxygen first. You get the lungs, the heart pumping, and the other you have to put a trachea to stop the bleeding so they don't bleed out and die. So I would say sometimes you have to show a person how to make more money where they're at.
Mm,
How do you make more money? Because most of it is a mindset.
yes.
And then the next thing is you may have to make a lateral move. I make my most money when I make a lateral move because when you work at a job and you get a raise, you get small incremental raises.
Right.
But once you get the enough knowledge, you can make a same line of work in a different company and make thousands more, but you can't be afraid. You have to get rid of that mindset. Hey, don't be changing jobs. Stay there for 20 years. Well, you're there 20 years and you made a 3% uh, cost of living increase and you're still broke.
Right.
So there's different things that you want to do to help a person make more money to generate money so they can do this other stuff. So you may have to start there first. Is I guess all I'm trying to say. How do you
Right.
make more money and
Yeah.
where you're
So
at?
true.
That's well, that's the truth because obviously that income coming in is the gas that fuels
Yes.
everything. It's the
Right.
gas that fuels everything. So the last pillar that I want us to talk about is investments, right? Again, just going through the four pillars, we talked about income and income protection, and then we talked about debt management,
Mm.
and then of course emergency funds or savings, whichever you want to call it. But then the last one is investments, right?
Mm.
And that's the last one, as far as financial health. And then after that, I want to go through, just some brief things that I looked up as far as how do you do a financial check for yourself. What are some of the things? So let's talk a little bit about investments. We know that investments can look different for different people, you know, where you have the stocks, right? A lot of people is getting into the Bitcoin and
Crypto,
crypto stuff like that.
you got
And then you have,
commodities,
yeah, and then you have real estate,
you got real
purchasing your
estate.
own home, and stuff, things of that nature. I think is definitely important to talk about. Mike, you want to break us in on that?
Sure, you must do it.
Silver. Some people's
Listen, listen.
some
That
people's into
you,
silver, like the silver that's in your
you
beard.
you you know I could go into this, right? And forgive me if I take over the conversation. Forgive me, but I do talk.
I'll
So
mute you. Don't worry, I'll
about
mute you.
things that I really enjoy. That like, can you see my face? Okay,
Yes.
Agreed.
investing. Um, one, you want to diversify. Well, this is what I believe. Now, I'm not a financial advisor licensed, so I can't give you advice on what stock to pick. But I can just
Right.
tell you what would work for me. First thing is getting in the game. Most people are stuck on the sideline because they don't have all the information. Uh-uh, get in there. So what I do is I think it's the way you phrase stuff. It's like, okay, what's a company that you can understand the concept of their business? Oh, I understand Nike. I understand this. I understand Tesla. Okay, do you think it'll be worth more in 5 or 10 years than it is now? Yeah. Okay, own it. Put $1, put $5. That's how you start. Because I'm trying to talk to the person that's not already in it, which because we're the ones that needed the babies, right? People that are doing it. Okay, you good. Smack them on the butt. Go make something of yourself. This lady over here that is working at Wawa and is not doing any investment, or only investment she's doing is her 401k through her business. I mean through her company, not knowing that the company owns that. You need to own your own private, and you don't have to pay a someone to manage your fund. Get over the fear. But when it comes to investing, majority of millionaires, they invest. So even if you don't know everything about it, look at people that are successful and start doing it. It's going to be a trial and error period. And the first thing is when you see your money dip, don't panic. It's easier said than done. I remember the first time when I first started, I was putting money in every week, and I think I was at like 1,200 gain, and then
That's sock. That's
that
sock
thing
money.
came to break even. I said okay, and then it went to 1,200 uh, negative. I was like, oh wait, hold you start to feel that thing. So when you talk to people, you got to know that this is the real
Right.
money. But my lack of experience, I took it out, right? Because I'm not losing on my money. I'm already down 1,200. So what you want to do is just leave it and buy more shares. So your shares, I like to call them your multipliers.
Mm,
So if a stock goes up $3 and you have 100 shares, you done made $300. You don't need a lot of money. You have some stocks where it may be over $1,000 for one share and you can't afford it. So you got what you have in there, $200. All you got to worry about is how that stock performs. Because if it makes 4%, 5%, 10% today, you're making 4%, 5%, 10% on whatever amount that you have. So you have different categories of stocks. You have growth stocks, value stocks, um, dividend stocks, with the high yield, penny stocks. So I recommend when people first get into it, and while you're learning, don't try to do the forex or the day trading unless you're willing to do that 24/7.
Right.
Because most of us have jobs, you can't watch it
Treat
all
it
day
like a
long.
business. A lot of people who do this treat it like a business. Like they do the day trading and
yeah.
Now, if you can
that's
do
the
it
whole.
and you study to do that, Yeah, you can make a lot of money, but you know how quick you can lose money doing that? Man, that's
Right,
it.
that's what I'm
It
saying.
ain't
So,
no
Mike,
like
joke.
to your point, because you said a lot of us have jobs. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I still have a job in the meantime, but a
So I
lot
do
of people
long term, 5, 10 years.
here,
but
they're
you,
not.
Mike, you
Yeah,
mentioned, you said if you put money in stocks and then
Hmm.
it starts going down, you say to put more money in,
You buy more shares.
but that's when but you still, it appears that you're losing money.
You don't lose until you take it out.
But that's what people don't. I feel like a lot of
Okay,
people
so
don't
so what
understand that.
happens? The stock market is like a living entity. When it goes up, so first understand what a stock is and what a bond is. A stock is ownership of a company.
Right.
Bond is ownership of debt. So you can make more money on both. You can make money when the market is going down by doing puts and they have different ways to do it. Me, keep it simple. You use the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid, until you get your knowledge.
keep it simple, smarty.
Right.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
Stop being
you,
offensive.
you forgot who you talking to, right? Okay, so when you buy a um, a stock at a certain price, it may be at $7 today, and then it goes up next week, and you buy another share. Now you have the cost average between the two, depending on how much you put it in there. It's going to be so. Say it went up to 14, double, right? And you buy the same amount. Now your cost average for your amount that you have is in the middle of 7 and 14.
Oh, so there'll be a lot of confused people out there.
Okay, well let me not go there. So the
Yeah,
thing is,
that's
when
a
you
whole
buy,
other.
You got to
you know,
break it down in layman's term.
I see
okay,
the passion, though. I
forgive
see
me.
the
And
passion.
if I go,
It'll be your
if I
cost
go there,
average. And then
reel me
the
back in if I go there.
gross national. I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
Reel me back
You
in.
know,
If I go there, just reel me back in.
yes,
Okay.
please.
Listen, one of the things too is like you said, Michael, like finding someone that knows it. You know what I mean, and asking
Yes.
questions, and not. You said jump in, but what I mean here and not going in head first is going head first without understanding anything. Like at least have a professional explain to you how it works, right? And then do your homework. Like, okay, make sure you repeat it to yourself so you understand it. Like that's how we understand it. It's like
I would say, I would
repetition.
say, I would say yes and no, because
Okay.
yes, you want to get educated on it, right? But
Right.
sometimes you have to get on the job training because the problem that most people have is because they don't have all the information. Their fear keeps their feet, and they don't put the first dollar in there.
It's true.
So even if you didn't know anything about it, right, and you thought, man, Tesla has been taking off. Let me just see something I can afford to lose. Let me put $5. You put $5 and that thing goes up 10% today, and you see it starts. Oh, I put money in. When the stock goes up, I make some money. Okay. When it goes down, your first instinct is to take it out.
Take it out.
No, no, that means you're getting it on a wholesale. You're getting that stock at a wholesale price. So now you buy it at a cheaper price. So when it goes back up, now you make even more money because you're able to purchase even more shares with less money. So your shares are multipliers. So every time that thing goes up, it's times how many shares you have. So if you buy on the dip, and me, I hold when it goes up because I'm looking for 5, 10 years. I'm not looking for the quick, you know.
Get rich quick. You ain't trying to
No,
get rich
no.
quick.
I've been there, did that. I'm going for the long haul.
I see you got patience. Look at the beard. You got the patience for sure.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, every time. I can't even marry no girl like that. But listen though, yeah, but
Yes, sir.
so I think most people don't realize that is that depending on where first of all, depending on your income level and your goal when it comes to stocks. Because like Melissa mentioned before, I think it was Melissa, that some people get in there and they get big returns. You know what I'm saying? And then you have some people like you just mentioned that's in there for the long haul. And
I do
so
know.
some of the techniques is just small deposits every week or every month.
Cost averaging
Yeah.
because the
And
market has always gone up. It crashed. It takes correction, makes correction, but it always goes up, and it is an average of 7 to 10% annually. So if you just put it in, if you don't want to do anything, any research, and you just put it in an index fund or something like that, where it's covering you're diversified across the whole market, generally it's going to go up around 7 to 10%.
Hmm.
But then you have individual stocks where you may get invest in a beaten down dog like Tesla. I use that for example. That you either loved it or you hate it. People that when it first a couple years ago, people either loved it or hated it, but it was beaten down stock. It was way down, right? It was just kept losing money. But the people that believed in it, they're
Now,
millionaires now
yeah,
because they went for the ride. They saw the evaluation,
yeah.
the business model was good, the management team was strong, and then it took off, and now they reap the benefit. So you may not start off with knowing how to identify those beaten down stocks, but that's where you're most on those growth stocks. That's where you can make most of your money. But when you first start off, you may start off in mutual funds, index funds, ETFs,
So
where
index funds, you're talking
mhm.
about those are shit like shells of companies.
Well, it's like you can get an index that covers a whole S&P 500.
Right, exactly. And so that
Right.
means you have a certain number of companies already in there.
Yes.
So your money is going towards
It
those.
may cover
That's
the whole entire market, every stock,
exactly.
and then ETF may just cover a certain sector. Like if you like the tech
Exactly.
sector, so you
Yes.
may have Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, just things in this, and then you may want to a REIT is a real estate.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
and they REITs are good because they pay dividends. But the other thing is you're owning real estate. So say you don't have the money to buy investment properties, you can invest in REITs, and they have to pay 90% of their money to their investors, shareholders. So and then you talk about dividend stocks. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
That's a
so
whole
let's
So
other
not
subject.
confuse. We don't want to confuse them too
Yeah,
no,
much.
no,
no,
that's
no.
what I was telling
You
Coach. I was
said
like,
Make
these
it
are
ahead.
loaded topics.
yeah, Reefs. They think you're talking about Christmas wreaths. Like, nah, we're not. We ain't talking about that.
Yeah,
So,
but you can
or you can take
every
your
sector.
$20. You can take your $20 and you can open up a Cash App. You can open up a Robin Hood or
You
some of these
just
other things, and
buy a
just
fraction of whatever share, and you can just sit there and watch it at first, and
exactly.
then. But I would say, put every week. This is where how you make money. Discipline and being consistent.
Yeah,
Putting something every week.
every week,
That thing will grow so fast.
or at least once a month. At least I
I
would
ain't
do
gonna
it.
give them that once a week. I
Yeah,
drink coffee every day.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you
everybody
go out every week, maybe you got something. Every week.
they ain't disciplined
Well,
like you,
oh,
man.
okay. I give a person some leeway, but I'm leaning towards look. You gonna mess up some money every day. You probably mess up 5, 10 bucks every day. I drink a coffee every day, so
Uh,
I'm like, look, if I can't put something on it every week, I feel like I'm losing.
You're robbing your own self, like
That's right.
future,
exactly, exactly.
stability. For
So
sure.
listen, that was a lot of valuable information when it comes to stocks, and just like Melissa said, it's loaded, man. We could go
Yeah,
on and on and on for
Yeah,
days.
you could take one of these subjects. I know you
and
haven't shown you're
elaborate.
trying to condense it, but you could take one of these topics and you can have a whole show on it, trying to
Yeah,
just give you bullet points and thumbnails on each
Yeah.
thing.
And
But
it'll be good to take that recording if you want to put your kid to sleep or put somebody to sleep. You could definitely just play it for them at that time. If you could take the whole show
only the
and
people that
talk to
see the
my
vision.
actor.
Hey,
Yeah,
the people that
right.
get it.
You get it,
If you don't
exactly.
get
I
it,
love it.
right?
if you don't get it, hey, you don't. Everybody ain't gonna get it.
Right.
Everybody.
And
Everybody's
more is
not gonna
caught than
understand.
taught too. So
Yeah.
you gotta remember that one.
You got to want. You got to be sick and tired of being sick and broke and tired, and then
Right.
it'll make you get off, and do something.
Get off the
Shakina
couch. So
said
listen.
buying Christmas gifts going broke.
Yes. So listen, financial health check, right? So we talked about financial health. But let's talk. These are some things you can do to check your own self, to see where you stand, to see how healthy your finances are, right? But first and foremost, this covers everything. I believe that this is the starting point of everything that we talked about. Is you have to have a goal. You have to have a goal, right? Either a goal for retirement or
Yeah.
a goal for what you want to save, get in your retirement plan. You have to have a goal for how much you want to make monthly or yearly. Everything to me starts with a goal so that what we're doing is more intentional. Go ahead, Mike.
Can I say before, because I know I'll forget it. What that goal? Like I have a number for, like, say at 65, and I plan on living another 20 years, and I take my expenses, I multiply it times the amount of years that I project to live, right? To have a number. How much do I need to retire, right? So
Important.
I'm like, I need around 2.1, 2.4 million um, when I can comfortably comfortably retire. But the thing is, say you never make it. I get up every morning because a lot of us start late in the game, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
because we start late, you don't want to do anything. You give up. So my thing is, I get up every day trying to hit that goal. If I don't hit it, I will have more trying to hit it than if I never tried.
Mm.
Continue.
Next, the next is develop a routine to check your money, your expenses, to make sure that you have a gap in between how much you're bringing in and how much you're going out. And it's within that gap is where it goes to your investments, to your savings and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of times we get in our routine of just, our regular daily routine of earning money and then paying our bills and whatever it is, and we don't check. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a routine of checking to see where your expenses are and see, where that gap is between how much you have coming in and how much you have going out, that way that'll help you let you know if you're on track to your goals or not.
Right.
Change your routine. That's what I had to do. Yeah, I think most people have that same mindset, but once you get serious about your life, you're gonna change. I track my money every week, almost every day. I'm looking at it. Um, yeah, you change your routine. You gotta, and that's where deprogramming comes in.
Absolutely.
Breakdown of what you used to do and reprogram yourself and create a new systems.
Right.
Yeah.
And cutting the
Also,
learning curve too.
I would say within checking is also making sure that your whatever you have for retirement or income protection, Melissa, whatever you have in that aspect that is conducive to where you're going, right? Because
Right.
sometimes
Right.
things changes. You might have to make a change. The
Absolutely.
market may increase something or decrease something, and you might have to make an adjustment based on your lifestyle or whatever's going on. So that's why it's good to have these checks on a regular basis to make sure every vehicle that's in place is heading to the right direction, or at least the direction you want it to go to.
Right. Right. Right.
Next
Definitely.
thing I would say, which is important also, is plan and execute. Right? If you have a goal for savings, if you have a goal for income, or you have a goal for retirement, or if you have a goal for investments, or whatever it is you have, execute that goal. You
Yep.
know, don't just keep reading it. Don't just keep learning. Don't just keep getting information. At some point, you have to
Pull the
actually
trigger.
execute. You got to pull the trigger.
Did y'all see Blade?
Apply.
You saw Blade, right? Remember when that
Blade,
nurse,
which one? One, two, or
the
three?
first one, the
Right.
first, the first
Right.
one.
We
Remember
watch
when that,
all of them.
remember when the nurse almost got ate up in the middle of the street and by that vampire, and Blade had to come up there and say, "Pull the trigger."
Pull the
That is,
trigger.
pull the trigger. Get out there and take a step.
Just gotta do it. Yeah. You just gotta
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it for sure.
Another part of that is, and again, Miss Melissa talked about this, is making sure you have the right financial insurance or protection.
Yeah.
So
You gotta make sure
things
you got the right
things
coverage.
happen, things
Yes.
happen, and so you don't want your goal to be derailed into
Right.
the fact that because it is you had this incident or this whatever this was that happened, that it took you off, and now you're not on track for your retirement, like you're not on track for that 2 million
Let
retirement.
me add
Or
to that, Adrian. So
yeah,
one of the things
absolutely.
that for, because I know the term property protected or the right income protection.
Mhm.
What does that mean? Again, what it means is you want to be properly protected, yes, but how do you know that you are properly protected?
Good
And one of
point.
the things is you have to look. We talked about your income. What is your income? How much do you get every month? Okay, experts say, I mean, it's recommended that you have 10 to 12 times. Some people go even 10 to 15 times more than what your annual income is. So, how do you know that you're properly protected? Okay, well, I'm getting, let's just say, for example, say $50,000 a year is what my annual income is. You want 10 to 12 times that annual income. So, let's just say 10 times more. For easy math, it'll be up to 500,000. So
Yeah.
for you to be properly protected, because the idea is that if something were to happen to you unexpectedly, that your family or whoever can have the same quality of life as if when you were there, but you're no longer there, right? So that same $50,000 is coming in. Why is it 10 to 12 or 15 times more? Is because you want to make sure that that money is going to last you for at least 10 to 12 to 15 years. So that means like major expenses can come out of there. Your house can get paid off. Your kids can still go to the same school.
Mhm.
The car that you guys are driving right now, you might not have to turn it in because that proper protection is there. Now, the case is that not every time you're going to be able to pay or have that amount of coverage or to be properly protected. But the idea is you want to start with something and then adjust as time goes by, because maybe right now you can't afford a $500,000 policy. I mean, there's different types of insurance, and that's something that we can discuss at another time. But there's things called, for example, two main types is term life insurance and whole life insurance. So they both do different things. One is for term or specified time. The other one can go a lot longer. They both also differ in prices. So really, it's just finding what works for you, what you can afford. The idea is a term is more affordable, is what I've found in the years that I've been doing it, and it allows you to have some kind of coverage in place until you can get the exact amount that you need, and then modify as time goes on.
Yes, good points. Nobody like talking about life insurance and income protection and death and
Right.
what could be. We hate talking about it, but we are got to talk about it sometime.
Yep.
Well, I guess
Trust, living wills, all that. Yep.
this probably ain't the
So
right time to
funny.
do my Bill Cosby impression, but
Oh,
anyway,
is that what that was? Oh,
yeah,
It was funny anyway. I didn't
I
know
was
that was Bill
trying.
Cosby though.
no, no, that's what I knew it was. I thought.
Yeah, funny.
So
We
the
gotta
last
talk about
thing
the hard stuff.
Yes, last thing is net worth, right? Just checking your net worth, and basically that's under recognizing what all your expenses is, what all your income is, subtracting them, and not just your income but your assets too. When you get into accounting terms, it has to do with your assets, but some people don't. The average person don't know how to factor in all their assets. It's basically you just take a guess at what is worth everything that you own, how much is worth, and then you add your cash, your bank account that you have, and put all that together, subtract it from all your debt that you have, and that'll let you know where you are. And so in doing so, give you a general idea where you are, and especially when it comes to debt management, like, what, I need to get rid of some of this debt. I need to bring in some more income so I can get rid of some of this debt. So these
Mm-hmm.
numbers can change. So that's
And
how. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike.
no, I was just saying on that with your net worth, and it's back to one of the first topics we were talking about, your utilization score. When you
Hmm.
your credit, when you pay off something and it frees up that, like say you have a $3,000 credit card and you're 50% maxed out. That's maxed out. When you pay, every time you make a payment on a credit card, you're actually freeing up more money if you needed it. So it's not like you're paying it to something that you never see it again. Like when you pay on your car payment, you don't never see that money. All
Right.
you're doing is transferring your liquid cash to pay off the debt, and it frees up more money. So what's happening is the amount that you are have access available credit is increasing and your debt is decreasing. So when you pay off your credit cards, it goes like this. So your net jumps
Mm.
by the amount that you paid and the amount that it goes down.
Yeah, that's important to know.
Yeah,
So,
Yep.
but you have to be disciplined not to reuse it.
I use it. I read
You know how to
but
use it. You
but
know,
I
like
but
you
I
know
paid
how to
off.
know how to use a credit card. That's all I'm
Yeah, but I
saying.
paid off every week. Every week I
Mm.
pay. I use it for my gas, for my coffee, whatever, and then every week I pay it off. So, because you want to show activity, if you're gonna have a credit card, you want to show activity that you're using it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because what good is having $40,000 worth of credit and can't use none of it? Now the thing is, I'm not using a whole amount.
The
I
whole
may
limit,
just
right?
use. I just use what I use my everyday expenses instead of using my cash that I haven't invested. I'm using this credit and I just pay it off every week.
Mm.
Exactly.
So,
Coincidentally, just this is just a side note. Business credit works the opposite. You
mhm.
know, personal credit, the lower your percentage is, the better. But business credit, the higher your percentage is, the better, because it looks like the
What
business is
percentage?
thriving.
What
Meaning
percentage?
your
Utilization?
your utilization. So if you're, of course, if you're like 10%, um, 15, 10% or lower, then it's real good for personal credit.
Right.
But when you have a business, if you're like 90% in that area, then it's
They're gonna
good.
give you more money.
They'll give you more money.
Yeah,
So
because they know you're gonna be indebted to. You ain't going nowhere.
I
But
just thought that
and the
was
good
interesting.
thing and the good thing with the business, there's so many. See, we didn't even talk about like LLCs and S corps in the
No,
benefit of the business.
not
But
yet.
in writing stuff off, like all that stuff, you get very creative with what you can write off, like those subscriptions.
Mhm.
I can't. You know what I'm saying? My tongue
I
is.
know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it right.
Yeah, you pay those things off, or you write them off. Um, like I talk to people how to collect the silver that you're talking about,
Hmm.
write it off during my taxes, so I get it for free, and then I can sell it for a profit.
No
Right.
problem.
So it's like you get the silver, the commodity for free, and then you sell it for a profit. So,
And he's not talking about the silver in his beard either. He got
oh
actual.
no,
A
no,
whole other. Right. So there's no excuse really to not make
not to do
money,
something.
not to
Yeah,
do something. Right. Not
not
to
to
do
do something.
something.
Not
That's
Yeah,
to
the
do
move.
something.
and I think if anybody is watching this podcast and they know how to get in contact with you, like if people have questions, I'm sure you can answer or you can direct to what is your first name again? I'm sorry.
It's on the screen. It says Melissa.
It's real
Oh,
small.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, it's on
I'm
the
like
screen. My name is
I'm like what?
Melissa. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you probably using your phone, ain't you? Using your phone.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that's why.
Yeah, no, it's Melissa.
Um. Yeah. So get in contact with any one of us if
Yes,
if there's something
definitely.
that Melissa said, something I said, something you said that people want more information.
Right.
They,
Absolutely.
Sure.
Any final thoughts? We'll start with Melissa.
Final thought. Mm, no final thoughts. Really, just my hope is always that something sticks. I mean, I can say all of this, but if something sticks and it helps you, and you need more help about it, like Michael said, just reach out. I'm more than happy to help out for sure.
Exactly. Mr. Mike.
I guess the biggest thing that I would say is get in the game. That's one of my favorite sayings. Get in the game. Don't use the lack of knowledge of everything that prevents you from starting something. The hardest thing with a business is coming up with a name. That's the hardest thing.
Right.
But once you
That's true.
start, it starts a chain reaction to the next step. Oh, I got to register this name. Oh, I got to get an EIN number. So
Yeah.
the first thing is make the decision that you want to do something and do it. Pull the trigger.
Absolutely. So, Mike, again, it's always a pleasure. Every time we get together, you know what I'm saying?
And and forgive me if I over chatted, but I am very talkative. So
No, you did not over chat, man.
No,
You
okay,
did
I
good.
try to
you
check
didn't.
myself.
Yeah, and plus everything you bring is right on point. So we already definitely appreciate that knowledge and wisdom that you got.
Sure.
The beard makes it a lot easier to listen to you too, man.
Am I replying? Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
So
Oh,
listen, how much
yes, sir.
time would it take for you to grab a sax and play us something, man? What's up with that?
Man, I haven't picked up.
It's like right here. Never mind. I got it right here.
It ain't close.
No, I ain't got my sound system set up.
Sound system, it make noise when it come right out, don't you?
Well, I be playing to these backtracks and stuff like that.
Next time.
See, hey, and the thing is, see, you set me up. You set a brother up.
I
So
always do.
you asked me to see if you had told me, hey, you remember, I'm going to ask you to play something. I would have been prepared. I am not prepared.
Yeah.
I'd have to go up there scrambling around.
And in Mike's defense, I only hit him up yesterday.
Oh, man.
I hit him up yesterday, like, yo, Mike, I forgot, man. We talking about finances. I know this is up your alley. Jump on, man, if you got time. So he jumped on within 24 hours. So definitely appreciate you for that, for sure.
No problem. I like helping us.
Yeah, so.
Leave it right there.
In that case, wow. Yes.
If I had a mic.
Nah, it was
I'm gonna have
really
to get
good,
him.
very
I get
insightful.
one of those bleepers to bleep you out. Right.
I like helping us. If it's
Yes.
financial, you know what? We've been behind the 8 ball for so many years. So anytime I get any knowledge, I give it freely most of the time.
So listen, Mike, just I don't know if you heard this or not, but every first Friday of the month, it's gonna be our financial Friday where we talk about business and things of this nature.
Okay,
So-
wait a minute. You asked me if I heard about this?
No, I'm
No,
just letting you know. I'm just
Oh,
letting you
okay.
know.
Yeah, every first
So
Friday is business
every first Friday.
Okay,
Business Friday. So we want you to definitely come back for sure.
sure. Now, until I get into the groove of the pattern, you may have to give me a reminder.
Oh, I already know.
Yeah, you know.
I'm
I
gonna
got
remind you about everything. I'm gonna remind you.
I got a
about
lot of stuff going
Also,
on.
any topics that anybody might be
Saxophone.
interested in learning.
Yeah,
too,
So if you give me a reminder, then I love talking. I love talking. So
Yeah, for sure. So listen, again, we appreciate everybody that tuned in and left a message. Let me see who we have. Miss Raquel, definitely my wife Shakina. We got Jody and Brandon and everybody else that didn't leave a message, but they came through and checked the show out. We definitely appreciate that. Until next Friday at 6:00. Melissa, what's on the schedule for next Friday? We know?
Ooh, I got it. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull it
Yeah,
up.
let's see what's coming up next. This message is brought to you. This show is brought to you by the MPACT radio station.
oh, I thought you were gonna say Colgate or something.
No.
You ain't got no sponsors yet.
No,
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
It's brought to you by Rapid Return Services.
Mm.
If you need your taxes done, if you need your business structured, LLC, S corp, if you need payroll taken care of, if you need a tax strategist to help you pay less taxes at the end of the year,
Right. So we got some
Get in
really
contact
interesting
with us.
talks coming up. Coach
Rapid
A.
Returns. Say it again.
I said we
What's
have some
coming up?
really interesting topics coming up this month. So really quickly, if anybody also have any suggestions, right, Coach, on like
Yeah,
topics, on, like,
absolutely.
business topics, to talk about the questions that you might have. I mean,
Mhm.
like Michael was saying, so many have ideas, and we got to get those ideas out. The idea is not just us talking and then talk the ear off, but also make it very engaging so that people can chime in. I mean, if you have an idea.
Yeah, you may have like a question at the end of your podcast, maybe a question and answer section.
Absolutely.
I
Well,
think
we
that
always got if you have a question throughout the podcast, if you put it up there in the comments, we'll definitely get it in and answer it for sure.
So for next Friday, what we have going on is communication, verbal versus nonverbal communication. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, no, tune in for that, because in the world of these little devices and people just looking down and talking to people with the phone in their hand, and just so many other things and distractions, period.
Exactly.
Communication and most importantly, dialogue, right? Having some kind of dialogue. So we're going to talk about that on the 12th. And then the week after, I don't want to bombard you guys, but this is really good. It's called Intentional Living.
Ooh.
So we're going to be talking about intentional living. I'm going to keep that topic, the rest of that topic, a little on the low. But definitely tune in next week for communication.
Yes. So again, appreciate you guys. It's the Impact Podcast Show. We out of here until next Friday at 6 o'clock. Say bye, everybody.
Peace.